At 92, Willie Nelson finally talks about Jim Reeves. Willie Nelson was born Willie Hugh Nelson on April 29th, 1933, in the small farming town of Abbott, Texas. He came from a poor family to become one of the most famous people in American music and popular culture. His early life was filled with the ideas of small-town America, hard work, never giving up, and a deep love for telling stories through song. He was raised by his grandparents during hard times of the Great Depression. Young Willie fell in love with music early, learning to play the guitar at the age of 6 and writing his first song just a year later. His musicals range from the touching gospel songs he heard in church to their honest sounds of old-fashioned country and blues, all of which would later mix together into his special style in the 1950s. Willie tried many different jobs, working as a cotton picker, a radio DJ, and even serving in the U.S. Air Force before deciding to make music his full-time career. His journey was not a quick success. Instead, it was a slow climb filled with lots of shows, small honky-tonks, money problems, and always trying to find a sound that was truly his own. Ace, a songwriter in Nashville during the early 1960s, Nelson wrote many hits for other singers, including Patsy Cline's Crazy, Ray Price Nightlife, and Farron Young's Hello Walls, proving he was a great writer long before he became famous as a singer. The 1970s was a big change in Willie Nelson's career. He got tired of the rules of the Nashvillians, so he moved to Austin, Texas, where cool new music scene loved his rebel approach to country music. His big albums, Shotgun Willie, 1973, Phases, and Stages, 1974, and especially Word-Headed Stranger, 1975, changed what country music could be, mixing folk storytelling, bluesy rhythms, and poetic words into something completely new. With his famous long hair, bandana, and relaxed attitude, Nelson became a symbol of doing art your own way and going against the rules, appealing not just to regular country fans, but also to rock fans and the growing outlaw country movement. Throughout his career, Nelson's work has gone far beyond just making records. His live shows, known for his warm stage presence and unabashed behind-the-scenes style, have amazed audiences around the world for decades. His favorite guitar, Trigger, a beat-up Martin N2O classical guitar, has become as famous as he is. It's worn wood, tells a story of thousands of songs and countless miles traveled. Beyond the music, Nelson has been a passionate fighter for farmers, starting Farm Aid in 1985, along with Neil Young and John Mellencamp, helped people learn about and support struggling family farms. His activism reaches to environmentalists, making marijuana legal and helping people issues, all based on his belief in fairness, caring, and community. Even as he got older, Willie Nelson has stayed a never-stopping creative force. He has put out dozens of albums covering many different types of music, worked with artists from all over the musical world, and written books that share his life experiences and beliefs. His raw voice, now aged into a scratchy yet gentle tool, carries airness that younger artists can hope to reach. His ability to make people feel emotion, whether through a heartbreaking sad song like Always on My Mind or a foot-stomping party song like On the Road Again, shows how timeless his art really is. Willie Nelson's legacy is not just measured in awards, record sales, or chart-topping hits, though he has earned countless honors, including getting into Country Music Hall of Fame, multiple Grammy Awards, and the Library of Congress Gershwin Prize for Popular Song. It is measured in the millions of lives he has touched through his music, his kindness, and his never-changing promise to being true to himself. In a business often driven by trends and making money, Willie stands as a reminder that being real, humble, and having heart will always connect with people. Even after turning 80, an age when many artists slow down or stop working, Willie Nelson has shown amazing energy and a never-ending love for music, continuing to create, perform, and inspire fans of all ages. Around the time of his 81st birthday in 2014, Nelson put out yet another studio album called Band of Brothers. This album was not only proof of his lasting creativity, but also a reminder of his place as a country music legend. Band of Brothers had a mix of classic outlaw country sounds with fresh storytelling, showing Willie's ability to change while staying true to his roots. The album connected deeply with audiences, earning great reviews and commercial success, with one of its singles climbing to the #1 spot on the country music charts. This achievement was especially impressive given how competitive Dalton country music is ruled by younger artists, proving Willie's timeless appeal and the deep respect he gets within the industry. His commitment to making new music well into his 80th decade shows not just his love for the craft, but his role as a living bridge between the beginnings of country music and its present-day growth. Beyond his musical career, Willie Nelson has got a big presence in movies and television, often using his charming personality and special voice to take on memorably acting roles. Over the years, he has appeared in many different films and TV shows, ranging from dramas to comedies, often playing characters that show his laid-back rebel spirit. One of his most well-known film roles was in The Electric Horseman, 1979, where he starred alongside Robert Redford and Jane Fonda. In this film, Willie's role as Wendell the bartender gave a cool, down-to-earth balancito the story's high-profile characters, earning him praise for his natural screen presence. He also appeared in Starlight, 1996, a lesser-known film, but one that showed his range as an actor. On television, Willie took part in popular series like The Dukes of Hazzard, where his cameo was met with excitement from fans who love seeing the country stare in a different light. His movie list also includes appearances in Blonde Ambition 2007, a comedy that let him show his funny side in Zoolander 22016, where he played himself in a hilarious cameo that introduced him to a new generation of comedy lovers. These different roles show Willie's ability to try many things and willingness to explore different sides of entertainment and music, adding layers to his cultural legacy. In addition to his work in music and acting, Willie Nelson is also a writer who writes a lot. He has written more than half a dozen books that give fans a personal look into his life, beliefs, and sense of humor. Among his most popular works is The Facts of Life and Other Dirty Jokes, which is aptly full, honest collection mixing his life story with witty stories and offbeat humor. This book gives readers a chance to see the lighter, more mischievous side of Willie, showing a storyteller who can capture people as much with words as he does with music. Another beloved book is Pretty Paper, which gets its title from one of Willie's famous songs and goes into stories from his childhood and career, mixing nostalgia with insight into the music industry and personal thoughts. His memoir, It's a Long Story, My Life, is perhaps his most complete literary work, following his journey from humble beginnings in Texas to becoming a worldwide icon. This memoir, Willie shares his struggles, victories, and the many colorful characters he has met, all told in his warm, down-to-earth voice. These books do more than just tell facts. They show the heart and soul of a man who has lived a life rich in experience and emotion, further making solid his place not only as a musician, but as a cultural storyteller and wise man. Willie Nelson's personal life, much like his career, has been a journey of highs and lows, marked by love, heartbreak, family, and personal discovery. Over the years, he has been married 4 times and is the father of 8 children, each with their own unique relationship to him and place in his life story. These relationships give a deeper view into the private world of legendary singer, whose gentle voice and outlaw spirit have captured audiences for decades. Nelson's first marriage was to Martha Matthews, whom he married in 1952 when he was still a young man trying to make his mark in the music industry. The relationship lasted a troubled 10 years, ending in divorce in 1962. During their marriage, the couple welcomed 3 children into the world: Lana, Susie, and Willie Billy Hugh Jr. However, the marriage was far from peaceful. Willie has openly talked about violence and problems that were part of this time of his life. Martha struggled with her own issues, and their arguments often turned into physical fights. An especially disturbing insight happened when Martha, in a fit of anger, reportedly sewed Willie up in bed sheets while he was asleep and beat him with a broomstick. Despite the challenges, Nelson remained a loving father, especially to his son Billy, whose tragic death by suicide in 1991 at the age of 33 deeply affected him. The pain of losing Billy has stayed with Nelson ever since, becoming a permanent part of his emotional world and further shaping the themes of love, loss, and redemption that often appear in his music. Following the end of his first marriage, Nelson married country singer Shirley Collie in 1963. Their union began during a hopeful chapter in Nelson's rising career as he gained popularity in Nashville and began finding his voice as a songwriter and performer. However, this marriage too would ultimately fall apart largely due to cheating. In 1971, Collie discovered a hospital bill from the maternity ward of a Houston hospital, which showed that Nelson had fathered a child, Paula Carlin Nelson, with another woman, Connie Coke. The discovery was a devastating blow to her, and the marriage ended in divorce soon after. Despite painful circumstances, Nelson took responsibility for his daughter Pauline, kept a relationship with her. In the same year his second marriage ended, Nelson married Connie Coke, with whom he had a second daughter, Amy Lee Nelson. Their union marked another chapter in Nelson's life, as he continued to grow musically and personally. Coke was a supportive partner for many years, and the family often traveled together as Nelson pursued his touring and recording work. Amy Lee would later follow in her father's footsteps and become involved in music as well, showing the artistic spirit that runs in the Nelson family. However, by 1988, Willie and Connie's marriage too came to an end in divorce. The pressures of fame, Constantinople, and Nelson's own lifestyle likely played a role in the eventual end of the relationship. After 3 marriages, Nelson found lasting companionship in his fourth and current wife, Annie D'Angelo. The couple met while Annie was working as a makeup artist on the set of the 1986 film Stagecoach, in which Willie co-starred. Their connection grew quickly, and they were married in 1991. Together they have raised 2 sons, Lucas Autry Nelson and Jacob Micah Nelson. Lucas has since become a talented musician in his own right, forming the band Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real, which has worked with major artists, including Neil Young, and has earned great praise for its blend of rock, country, and Americana influences. Jacob, too, has musical interests, and the Nelson D'Angelo family is known for being close-knit and supportive. Willie often speaks warmly of Annie, crediting her with bringing stability and peace into his life during his latter years. Their decades-long marriage has become a symbol of lasting love and mutual respect. In a touching twist to his family story, Willie Nelson learned in 2012 that he had fathered another daughter many years earlier with his close friend Mary Haney. The daughter, Linda Renee Barley, who later went by the name Renee Nelson, had been born on January 22, 1953, during a time when Nelson was still a young, struggling artist. For decades, neither father nor daughter knew of their biological connection. But through a combination of DNA testing and family research, the truth came out late in their lives. When Renee finally met Willie, the meeting was marked by warmth and acceptance. She shared a treasured photograph of them together on Father's Day in 2016, a public statement of their long-lost bond. Tragically, just a year after their reunion, Renee passed away in 2017. Despite the shortness of their time together, the discovery gave both of them a chance to share in a sense of family, however late, and added another deeply human layer to Nelson's solidly extraordinary life. At their remarkable age of 92, Willie Nelson, the legendary American singer-songwriter whose career has lasted more than 7 decades, has reached a stage in life where his words carry not just theory of experience, but the wisdom of someone who has seen the music industry change again and again. For decades, Nelson has been known for his quiet charm, his poetic songwriting, and his tendency to speak his mind, though often in his own terms, and sometimes only after years of quiet thinking. now with his trademark braided hair turning completely. Silver, his voice a little more rough, but still mystically soulful. Willie has Jacinto talk about a subject he has rarely spoken about in public. The late Jim Reeves. Jim Reeves, the smooth-voiced country singer whose gentle, sophisticated style helped bridge the gap between traditional country music and popular mainstream sounds, died tragically in a plane crash in 1964, leaving behind a legacy of songs that continued to connect with listeners around the world. Reeves was a starter in the late 1950s and early 1960s, bringing a gentler, more polished sound to a genre often associated with twang and grit. Songs like He'll Have to Go Four Walls and Welcome to My World showed his ability to blend heartfelt emotion with a level of vocal smoothness that set him apart from many of his contemporaries. For years, fans have wondered what Nelson thought about Reeves. Two men from the same era, both Texans by birth, both dedicated to reshaping the possibilities of country music, yet traveling along very different musicalpas. Reeves's path was cut short by tragedy, while Nelson's winding journey took him through Nashville's songwriting scene, a rebellious break with industry norms, and ultimately into the outlaw country movement of the 1970s, though their style seemed worlds apart. Reeves with his tailored suits and polished stage presence, Nelson with his rag bandanas and road-weary charm, their careers crossed paths more than casual listeners might realize. Both men understood the power of storytelling in song, and both had an amazing ability to reach audiences far beyond the traditional country crowd. Now at 92, Nelson's decision to finally speak up about Reeves is more than a casual mark. It feels like the closing of a long, unspoken chapter. In interviews, Nelson has explained that his silence on subject wasn't born from not caring or neglect, but from the simple fact that some memories and some people deserve the right timing. He remembers sharing Reeves on the radio when he was a young songwriter struggling to make ends meet, and how Reeves' gentle, deep voice stood out like a warm beacon among the harsher, more nasal voices dominating the airwaves. Willie admits that Reeves' music, with its rich orchestration and lush vocal phrasing, quietly influenced his own understanding of melody and songcraft, even if his own delivery would always lean toward the raw and conversational. When speaking of Reeves now, Nelson's tone is one of deep respect, mixed with a kind of quiet sadness. He talks at Butho Reeves paved the way for country artists to cross over into the pop charts, opening doors that Nelson himself would walk through years later with hits like Always on My Mind and Off Road Again. He is amazed at how Reeves managed to keep emotional authenticity, even while performing in a style some purists dismiss as too smooth. Willie points out that true artistry lies in making a song feel real, whether it's sung over a simple guitar or a full-string arrangement. And in that, Reeves was a master. In the twilight of his life, Nelson seems to be taking stock of the voices that shaped him, consciously or not, and Reeves' name now sits firmly among them. By finally speaking up about Jim Reeves, Nelson not only honors a fellow Texan and musical pioneer, but also offers a rare glimpse into his own musical DNA. For fans of both artists, this late-in-life acknowledgement feels like a bridge between two different visions of country music. One dressed in Nashville polish, the other in outlaw grit. Proving that respect, admiration, and influence can cross stylistic boundaries and endure across generations.